What is going on, everybody? And it's Ethan Smith of the Locked On Pirates podcast, and it is opening day of the 2022 MLB season. I am, of course, here at the Locked On Pirates podcast, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, and we have a bunch to talk about today. On today's episode on Thursday, we will be bringing your opening day predictions for the Pittsburgh Pirates as they are set to kick off their season in Busch Field in St. Louis against the St. Louis Cardinals today at 4:15 Eastern Time. We're going to be talking about what I expect to see in the lineup, who could have a big game, how JT Brubaker's first opening day start will go, as well as the Pirates' acquisition of Andrew Knapp and the moves that could be following it. But before we get into today's episode, as always, I want to thank you guys for making me your first listen of the day every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I, of course, will be live tweeting this game on my Twitter account at MVP_Ethan, which if you are on YouTube, you can see right there. Of course, you guys also follow me at Locked On Pirates. That is also another Twitter handle that we have. Make sure you keep hitting that subscribe button on YouTube. We just passed 230 subscribers on YouTube, so thank you guys so much for tuning into the podcast every single day. Also, thank you so much for being a huge influence on the audio getting fixed. I finally figured out, got it everything going and up and running, and just like the Pittsburgh Pirates, we are up and running here at the Locked On Pirates podcast, and we have regular season baseball to talk about today on today's episode. And guys, I am so happy that you're here, but guess what? After the intro hits, we're going to go ahead and make some predictions about today and opening day against the St. Louis Cardinals.
You are Locked On Pirates, your daily Pittsburgh Pirates podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to the Locked On Pirates podcast, everybody. I am, of course, your host, Ethan Smith, and of course, you know, I do the most, and we are here. We have made it to opening day of 2022. Of course, here at the Locked On Pirates podcast, this is my second opening day. Of course, you guys remember last year, Ke'Bryan Hayes hit that home run against the Chicago Cubs on opening day, and you all heard my wonderful reaction to that. That was phenomenal. But heading into 2022, the youth movement is about to start here in Pittsburgh, PA, and it will start on April, I believe today is the 6th, or 7th, sorry, yesterday was the 6th. I'm losing track of days, honestly, I will be honest, but April 7th, 2022, we are here, and finally opening day is back, and the Pittsburgh Pirates are going to be headed to St. Louis against the St. Louis Cardinals at Busch Field. And looking towards what this lineup card is going to look like is going to be very interesting. And why do I say that? Well, we've seen reports from notable Pittsburgh Pirates analysts, Jason Mackey and others, as well as Mike Persak and Adam Bittner, talk about the idea that Cole Tucker will more than likely be starting in right field tomorrow, which kind of changed what I thought the opening lineup would look like. But as we go through it, of course, there's the givens that Roberto Perez will, of course, be starting behind the backstop for the Pittsburgh Pirates to begin the year. Ke'Bryan Hayes appears to be healthy enough to start at third. I talked about that last week, so make sure you guys go check that out whenever he was listed as day-to-day with that ankle injury. Brian Reynolds, of course, will be the starting center fielder after a Gold Glove season and an All-Star season. There's no reason to bench him, so they said, hey, you get the center field spot. Ben Gamble, of course, will probably be the left fielder or right fielder, but everything else gets a little shaky now. And the reason why it gets a little shaky is because, of course, at first base, you either have Daniel Vogelbach or Yoshimoto Tsugo, or as you guys like to call him, Yoshi. I just figured I'd give him some props on his full name because Yoshi is a living legend here in Pittsburgh. But also, one of those guys will more than likely be the DH, of course, with O'Neal Cruz being in Indianapolis. The Indians also took a loss last night, 4-1 to Omaha, and their game today, I believe, is postponed to inclement weather, which was very unfortunate. But either way, things happen. But I would expect either Yoshi or Daniel Vogelbach to be the DH in this lineup. And then you get to the middle infield and right field. As I mentioned, in right field, you're probably going to see Cole Tucker. Cole Tucker had a very strong spring this year. I think that he's kind of on his last leg. You guys have heard me talk about this multiple times about Cole Tucker. I think he really needs to prove that he's going to be a part of this future of this team. With guys like Diego Castillo, Travis Swaggerty, Canaan Smith and Jigba, Greg Allen even, who is probably going to go to the 60-day IL. We're going to talk about the acquisition the Pirates made to fill that backup catcher void after optioning Michael Perez, Jamie Ritchie, and Taylor Davis. We'll talk about that later. And the implications behind that. But the middle infield is probably the most interesting part because Kevin Newman will likely be the starting shortstop. There's no reason I would say that he wouldn't be. And for the most part, yeah, I get it. Kevin Newman had a strong spring. He was a Gold Glove finalist last year. And for the most part, he didn't do anything to lose his job yet. Of course, a lot of us, including myself, wanted to see O'Neal Cruz be the starting shortstop to begin the year. Of course, as I always mention, go to BetOnline, one of our phenomenal sponsors. He is 3-1 odds to win Rookie of the Year. I believe those odds also changed to 15-4 earlier today, but they may flip around. I know he was tied with Shea Suzuki of the Chicago Cubs, who we will get a full dose of this year for Rookie of the Year in the National League. But second base was the interesting one because Michael Chavis is healthy. They also decided to keep Diego Castillo up here as well for the foreseeable future, which I thought was a phenomenal idea. You guys can go check out my episode on Tuesday, or it was Monday actually, about that, where I talk about the reason why Diego Castillo was on this team. He led the team in spring training with home runs. He deserved to be here. He should be here. But it's still to be seen about what's going to happen here as far as who starts at second base. I would like it to be Castillo. It probably will be Chavis. Of course, we will learn about this later in the day. Depending on when you guys are listening, the lineup card will probably be released. Of course, with the game starting at 4, it'll probably be released around the noon time. But I really think that this is going to be a fun opening day. And, excuse me. Take a sip of water here for you guys. But either way, I think it's going to be a very fun opening day. Of course, the Pirates are in Busch Field. They're facing Adam Wainwright, notorious Pirate killer. But before we get into that, where I basically gave you guys what I think the opening lineup card is going to be with Roberto Perez, Yoshi Tsutsugo and Daniel Vogelbach, Diego Castillo or Michael Chavis, Kevin Newman, Key Brian Hayes, Ben Gamel, Cole Tucker, Brian Reynolds, in no particular order. That's what I think the lineup card will be today heading into St. Louis and Busch Field. But if you want to go and bet on this game, and I already put out some good bets that I thought were going to be out, make sure you go to BetOnline. Of course, BetOnline is where the game starts. And make sure you use promo code LOCKEDON to receive your 50% welcome bonus at BetOnline. And BetOnline is your number one source for all of your betting needs and sports info. Hopefully, all of you guys bet on Kansas to win the national championship game like I did. And hopefully, you made some money from that as well. But find all of the latest sports developments, including this week's Masters Championship odds, podcasts, and reviews for all the different leagues this season. BetOnline, of course, is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. Esports is very fun nowadays with Rocket League, Fortnite, everything that you could think of. And of course, head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. And of course, if you want to bet on Cardinals and Pirates tomorrow, of course, my big bet was the Pirates and Cardinals will score under 8 runs. So make sure you go bet on that. And of course, BetOnline is where the game starts. And before we come back, excuse me, have a little frog in my throat today, guys. We're going to talk about some opening day predictions and what I expect from the lineup, as well as what I expect from JT Brubacher in his first opening day start, but we will be right back.
You are Locked On Pirates, your daily Pittsburgh Pirates podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And of course, everyone, welcome back to the Locked On Pirates podcast. I am, of course, your host, Ethan Smith, who does the most. Hope you guys are all, again, having a phenomenal Thursday, a phenomenal opening day. And I am a big advocate of saying that Major League Baseball's opening day, of course, should be a national holiday. And of course, you can see at the bottom, our wonderful people over at betonline.net are here for all of your betting needs. But also make sure, if you guys want to hear about a lot of the Pittsburgh Pirates prospects this year, you go check out Mr. Lindsey Crosby. Of course, he does a phenomenal job covering all of the minor leagues and all of baseball. Sorry that I'm coughing so much, guys. I think it's just the excitement. But also, you really look at the idea of what we have to look forward here to opening day, and there's a lot to look forward to. Of course, Diego Castillo, as I just mentioned, go listen to Lindsey Crosby over at Locked On MLB Prospects. He's going to be talking about all the big prospect news. Of course, Bobby Witt Jr., the number one prospect in all of baseball, is debuting for the Kansas City Royals, so that's a big deal. But we're here to talk about the Pittsburgh Pirates, obviously. And you guys heard what I thought the lineup was going to be. You already know that JT Brubacher is the starting pitcher, so we'll start on JT Brubacher first. And one thing that I've seen is we already kind of know the course of everything and how everything is going to go as far as this first series will go in terms of pitching. We know that it will be Zach Thompson, Bryce Wilson, and Mitch Keller over the next couple of days, along with JT Brubacher. What I expect from JT Brubacher today is really just be consistent. Hit the strike zone. Make sure you're doing things very well. Make sure that things are riding on the wave that you need them to ride on. And I think that he needs to use his pitch mix very well. And JT Brubacher, of course, last year started the year very well, I thought. And later on in the year, of course, due to the COVID year, I think he really got hit with the the limp arm bug, but I don't want to call it that. He was shut down later in the year. He wasn't performing as well in the middle part of the year and the later end of the year. For my prediction for JT Brubacher today, I'm going to say he's going to allow 3 earned runs over 4 innings, be pulled after that. He'll probably be in the range of 50 to 60 pitches. He'll probably have a walk in there too. Again, I already predicted Cardinals and Pirates today to be under 8 runs. So if he gives up 3, we'll see who follows him up. It'll probably be a guy like Chris Stratton or Anthony Banda. One of those guys in the bullpen will probably back him up. But I think he'll give us 4 good innings of 3 earned runs. Of course, that's not great. It's not what you really want to see. But the Cardinals do sport a lot of offense. I mean, you look at Tommy Edman, you look at Dylan Carlson, you look at Harrison Bader, Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado. They all play well at home. St. Louis, of course, at Busch Field is a juggernaut. I've always said that. It is hard to beat the Cardinals at home, especially with Adam Wainwright. I think Adam Wainwright will go 1 more inning than JT Brubacher. I think he goes 5 innings, allows 1 earned run. But getting more into the lineups today with the Pittsburgh Pirates as well, I think Ke'Bryan Hayes is going to have a phenomenal defensive day. I think he's going to show that defensive output that he has. I think he's going to do an absolutely awesome job doing so. And Brian Reynolds, I also think, is going to have a multi-hit day as well. I think he's going to have about 2 or 3 hits and about 3 or 4 plate appearances, depending on how the game goes. I think that's going to be how most of that goes. I'm also predicting a home run from an unlikely source. I think Diego Castillo is going to hit his first MLB home run today. I am predicting that as well. I think that's going to be a big component to what he can do. And also, I want to drop some news for you guys today. If you want, want to tune in today. Ed Albert and I will be talking on Fox 43 about Pirates opening day. I think that's going to be a very fun thing. We're going to go over a lot of stuff over at WPMT, which is, of course, partnered with the Locked On Pirates podcast, so you guys might see me on there a lot this year. Of course, check me out on Bucks in the Basement as well. But I do think Diego Castillo is going to go yard in Busch Field today. Is it going to be against Adam Wainwright? That's to be seen. But we'll see. Also, some news here. The Pirates did sign Andrew Knapp today to be their backup catcher. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, they optioned Michael Perez, Jamie Ritchie, and Taylor Davis. Andrew Knapp, I didn't think it could get worse than Michael Perez, but it did. And Andrew Knapp last year ranked 68th out of 68th for all qualified catchers in WAR. And at the end of the day, you look at his slash line if you're on YouTube, but I'll tell you guys who are on audio. He had a .24, 3.4, and 3.22, or a .322 slash line over his career. Not a great hitter. Defensively, he's okay. I really think it's more or less just to make sure that the Pirates had a backup catcher, because when we all saw that news, we were like, whoa, where's the backup catcher at? And Roberto Perez, who, of course, has an injury history, that doesn't make that any better. And we'll see how it turns out. I mean, the backup catcher spot we already knew was going to be an issue. That's why I still have issues with the Jacob Stallings trade, but also we get to see the remnants of that immediately with Zach Thompson this weekend, so we'll see how that goes. But there's a lot of fixing to do. And if you want to fix something as well, make sure you go to Rock Auto. Of course, we all have car issues in our lives. It kind of sucks, but when you need to fix your car, you want to look for reliable prices and an amazing selection based off of whatever car or truck you have. And with the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts you need. Why endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning and wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts on their computer, choosing the only brand that their warehouse happens to carry? You have computers with access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket. Save time and money when using Rock Auto, because why choose to spend 30, 50, or even 100% more for the same parts from a chain store or car dealership? Rock Auto is, of course, a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Rock Auto prices are reliably low for every customer, and they have everything you could need, from brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, and even new carpet. So go explore their easy-to-use website today to find the solution for your auto parts needs. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck, right locked on in their How Did You Hear About Us box, so they know that we sent you. They have an amazing selection, reliably low prices, and all the parts your car will ever need. That is rockauto.com. And heading into this final segment today, of course, it's Pittsburgh Pirates opening day. And before we get into that, I will also be right back. But we are going to talk about what is in store for the Pittsburgh Pirates in 2022, what there is to look for, what storylines we have to look forward to in these first couple months. But I will be right back.
You are Locked On Pirates, your daily Pittsburgh Pirates podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And, of course, guys, welcome to the final segment of today's episode of Locked On Pirates. I am, of course, your host who does the most, Ethan Smith. Thank you again for making me your first listen of the day every single day. Of course, you could follow this podcast at MVP_Ethan and at Locked On Pirates. Also, you got to make sure you check out everybody on the Locked On Podcast Network. Of course, go check out my crossover with Lucas Smith of Locked On Cardinals, where we talk about the series as a whole. But there's a lot of storylines to cover with this team. As I already said, it's a youth movement heading into 2022, where the likes of O'Neal Cruz, Roansy Contreras, and other guys may come into the fold as well. And the thing about the Pirates heading into 2022, it's an unpredictable year. Usually, I would predict the wins and losses. I have no idea. I will say I don't think this team is going to be a 100-loss team again. It's very hard to lose 100 games. You can hear Gary talk about that on Mondays. He harps on that a lot. It's very hard to lose 100 games. And if this team stays relatively healthy, maybe they win 70 games. And that's pretty optimistic of me to say. It really is. But Ke'Bryan Hayes, I think, is going to take a step up this year. I think his defensive output's already there. I think he's going to take a step in terms of the offensive output that he's going to give this team. Brian Reynolds is going to do his thing. I would love to see Ke'Bryan Hayes and Brian Reynolds get those extensions that they rightfully deserve, but we'll see what happens. And O'Neal Cruz is eventually going to be up here. I think he's going to absolutely rake in AAA. In his first game, he went 0 for 3 in Indianapolis, but we're not going to overreact about first games. Like I will tell you today, do not overreact about opening day. I overreacted a little bit last year about opening day. Do not overreact about opening day. It's a fun time, but if the Pirates win, doesn't mean they're going to the World Series. We know that enough. But also, I think it'll be a fun time if the Pirates do find a way to win today, which I think they can. But you also have to look at the idea that this team is going to look very different from what they will look like today on the lineup card than what they will look like 3 months from now. And why do I say that? The Pirates have trade pieces. Kevin Newman is a trade piece. Ben Gamel, possibly a trade piece if Kanan Smith and Jigba and some of these other young outfielders come along. You're looking at guys like Roberto Perez even possibly being a trade piece. Jose Quintana will probably not be a part of the starting rotation at some point. There's other guys like Chris Stratton, Heath Hembry, who could also be trade pieces down the line. But the big thing and the big takeaway heading into this year that I want to go ahead and amplify to everyone is that it's going to be fun to watch this team. Yes, they're going to lose games. Yes, the win-loss record is going to be garbage. We know that already going into this year. But you're going to get to see Ke'Bryan Hayes and his growth. You're going to eventually get to see O'Neal Cruz hit bombs into the Allegheny River. You're going to eventually get to see Roansy Contreras pitch lights out. I think Zach Thompson and Bryce Wilson are going to take major steps up this year. I am very excited heading into this year. And yes, this is a shorter episode, but opening day is here, guys. And tomorrow we are going to be with Adam Bittner recapping everything we saw on opening day. Heading into the weekend, of course, me and Adam are going to preview the Saturday and Sunday games, talk about anything going on in the world of the Pittsburgh Pirates. But again, thank you for making me your first listen of the day every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. It is your Pittsburgh Pirates every day. Again, follow me on Twitter at MVP_Ethan, where I will be live tweeting games every time I can. I will also be live tweeting over at Locked On Pirates. Thinking about going live later today as well, but we'll see. That is to be seen. That is TBA. We will decide that today as well. Of course, make sure you go check out Locked On MLB as well with the season starting. Paul Francis Sullivan, but please call him Sully. We'll be covering everything going on in baseball, past and present. He also released his In Memoriam episode to, really take care of all the people that we lost in the baseball world over this offseason. So make sure you go check that out. He is a phenomenal guy. But guys, until tomorrow, and have fun today as well. I will see you guys on the flip side. It will be me and Adam Bittner tomorrow. Fuji Master will be joining us and having a phenomenal time. And guys, let's go Bucks, raise the Jolly Roger, and hopefully we see a couple of cannonballs coming in Busch Stadium today at 4:15 Eastern. Guys, have a phenomenal opening day. If you have questions, if you have comments, make sure you go to Twitter right here at the bottom of the screen, and I will see you guys on the flip side.